burning pain, a sense of loss, burning vindication, even as darkness kept around the edge of his vision. His slow rotation pulling a large station, silhouetted against a star as it slowly burned up. A skeleton shot up, seeming to gasp, one arm clamping over where his heart used to be, two glowing white circles in his eye sockets, acting as his irises contracted as he seemed to pant. "Ah, young master, you're awake," a voice said, as the sound of clicking gears and softly hissing steam was heard. A human-sized, bipedal robot pulled itself out of an alcove it was resting in, its head, resembling an old security camera, locked onto his, a single optic lens focused on him. Its skeletal body walked over. One arm was replaced with a cannon, the other, a two-fingered hand with a thumb. "I was fearing you wouldn't awaken when the collector pulled you from your world. You were in poor shape," the machine said as it stopped by the skeleton's bed, even as said skeleton tried to back up, reaching next to him for the nightstand where he had always kept his pistol, only to find nothing. "Who are you, and where the hell am I?" yelled a weak, very young voice, as the skeleton almost fell off the bed, and got a good look at himself in a mirror, and let out a shriek of horror. "ZZZZZZZZZ." The newly minted lick sighed as he sat at a table, head in his hand. "So, you mean to tell me," the skeleton said, looking up at the automaton named Relic, fitting for a machine of many bygone ages that had been passed from Automancer to Automancer, "that your master, before they vanished, sealed their lab away and prepared a summoning system, this collector, to bring someone who was to be their successor," he finished, trying to put everything together, before pointing out the star-filled window. "Said lab happens to be an ancient space station, orbiting a world of magic and what my world would have considered mythical creatures." The automaton nodded, its optic closed with shutters and what appeared to be a smile. "Unfortunately, a good portion of the lab is off-limits at the moment. During the Relic tilted its head as if trying to remember. 1,000 years I believe we've been in orbit. Many systems were knocked offline due to micrometeors, as well as several attacks from other Automancer weapons left over from the Ragnarok War," the automaton informed him. "Only the living quarters and private tinkering lab, as well as the hopper hangar, are still fully functional. RCS is available for emergency use only, though it hasn't needed to be used since the world was technologically reset," he continued, as a tube in the middle of the table silently lit up with lightning before forming a hologram of the station, the damaged sections pulsing slowly. "Automatic repair systems, while undamaged, are completely offline until their emergency generator and fuel supply is refilled," he continued, and made a hand motion. "Most of the fuels are common, but cannot be found in orbit, only planet-side. Sadly, I myself cannot leave the station," the automaton continued, motioning to a set of old computers made of brass and copper, with vacuum and Nixie tubes sticking out of various areas. "I am the only thing keeping the station in the sky, as it were." "Fiek," the skeleton sighed, one hand rubbing his other shoulder with a grimace. "Guess that means you need me to go planet-side," he said, leaning back. "And there's no way I can return home, can I?" he asked softly, his irises reshaping into lines, almost as if he closed his eyes. Memories of several kids, grinning up at him, a man and a woman, with an elderly lady in a wheelchair nearby and an elderly man in a beret, all standing around a group of young males, each holding marine certification in a photograph. "I'm afraid not yet, young master," the automaton said, shaking his head. "Not yet," the skeleton said to Relic, focusing his full attention on the automaton and perking up at the thought of returning home. "Universal teleportation is one direction for the moment. One can be summoned here, but not to a different universe. At least, not yet," the automaton said, as it held up what looked like a Nixie tube in his manipulator. "My late master realized that any potential successor may want to go home at some point and looked into a return system, but what little of their notes remain are scattered," he said, as he plugged it in. As he did, time seemed to slow down around the skeleton, and what looked like an old CMD terminal prompt appeared before his vision, glowing the near-classic color of phosphor green. "User system online. You have one new message. New message. Welcome, Userna. Welcome to the world of Arcadia, a world of magic and wonder. You have been selected to restore the magic of Automancy by accepting this role. You will be given several boons to aid you by completing this task. you will be given a chance to return to your world and bring with you the skills and knowledge of an Automancer. Already, the skeleton looked hopeful, perking up. He would be able to see his family again. His Sarge was likely going to smoke his arse for a week for being a self-sacrificial idiot, though probably after hugging him with enough force to break a few ribs. That last thought made the skeleton cringe a little before he continued reading, now getting curious as he saw more. By accepting these terms, you will have to forge yourself a new name. Please type in your name below. A blinking cursor bar on the terminal caught in his gaze, a fierce look of determination staring back at him through his reflection. Slowly, his bony fingers danced across the keyboard, typing in a name he selected. The console let out a satisfied ding and text started to scroll across the terminal. Talos. Registering. User registered. Welcome, Talos. Status. Name Talos redacted species. Lake LVL 1 HP 100 100 MP 1010 XP Shua Strength 5 Will 20 Intelligence 15 Constitution 4 Charisma 6. Description. Talos is a one-armed lick, newly reborn and unfamiliar with the world. Due to his previous life as a soldier, however, he is well versed in several forms of combat, as well as knowledgeable about the equipment he used in the field. Being newly born, however, leaves him fragile and weak. Skills. Gunslinger 210 Talos was a known crack shot with a pistol, able to hit targets most had issues with one in the midst of combat. Current accuracy bonus is an additional 20%. Disabled rifleman 110 in life. Talos was a decent shot with his rifle. While not as accurate as with a pistol, he could still land shots when it counted. Current accuracy bonus is at 15% warning. Skill disabled due to lack of second hand. Combat Engineer 320 Talos wasn't unfamiliar with being shot at while trying to repair a vehicle or manually reload a piece of heavy armament. Because of this, he has been known to be a little apathetic to being shot at while fixing something and more than a little scary with a wrench. Bonus to blunt tool damage at 15%. Bonus to mechanical engineering at 25%. Starmarine 320 being a Marine in the age of spaceships and interstellar combat is a rough thing. Due to Talos' continued experience on strange planets and situations, he has gotten used to many oddities. Grant's spacewalk, ignore terrain, basic piloting. Undead speech 11 due to being an undead. Talos can understand the undead. Automancy, a long-lost art of the world of Arcadia, the creation of sentient machines with their own souls, or coaxing of near-dead ones into mechanical shells, and the replacement of limbs with mechanical ones. Only rumors exist of hidden caches of technology, greedily fought over by the kingdoms of the world. Talos, the newly renamed Lick, dismissed the terminal, deciding to return to it later and refocusing on the automaton, feeling as if time had sped up around him as he watched the machine click the Nixie tube into the console. Again the table lit up, a cloaked figure appearing there. "Welcome, welcome," the figure said, wheezing softly, their breath rattling as they spoke, while steam hissing from their hood. "My name is not important. Not now, not anymore," the figure said, chuckling softly. "All that's important is that I can pass on my knowledge of my art on to the next generation, and pray that you do not follow in our mistakes." Inside the record that Relic inserted into the table is a guide, a first volume, if you will, of the art of Automancy. My colleagues and I wish to keep our art going, and each agreed to record our life's works, stashing them away in the hopes that one day a worthy successor will come. The figure wheeled again, almost hacking painfully. Each of us followed a different house, focused on different, shall we say, aspects of our art. The Rooney, who studied the soul and its ability to inhabit mechanical or organic bodies, even after death. The Bar, who studied the bodies of the living in an attempt to replicate it with machines and improve upon what nature created. The Mersh, who studied the mind, in an attempt to create ways for our machines to move and think on their own, without input from us on how to do everything. The figure explained, as symbols for each of the houses appeared, before a smaller one appeared between the three. "And then there's my house, Birov, the House of Many," he said with a wheezing chuckle. "We sought to combine the teachings of the other houses, to make the perfect being. We studied the relics of generations past. We came so close," the Automancer said, before sighing, "and then we became too greedy. Our scholars mimicked those of the other magic and scientific houses, hoarding what we knew like a robber baron. We became envious of one another, all while proclaiming our own superiority to the others. And then it came to blows. Brother against brother, house against house, nations warring with themselves and those around them, destroying our world, until those of us left. Those who had run and were hunted like prey were all that was left. The mages left to restore what they could, but we, the Automancers, we knew our branch was too dangerous. We needed to hide it, keep it safe for ones who we knew wouldn't use it with an iron fist. The hooded figure sighed. We each had our own methods of reaching this goal, all but the House of Birov. This got a weak chuckle. We had lost so much, all of our specialized equipment, much of our knowledge locked in vaults, forever sealed until the world recovered. Magic to extend our lives or place us in suspended animation wasn't worth it. We had blood on our hands, and we had to atone. He sighed, seeming to look straight at Talos. I am the last of us. The others each made their own choices on how to repair the damages our houses made, but I wish to never see it happen again, and so, the figure said, reaching a mechanical hand up in the hologram, I ask of you, become what we could not. Become the one who guides and protects, not hoards and reproaches. Become a guardian of this world and others. The being said, hacking softly. End message. The light went out, darkening the room. Everything but the fiercely glowing irises of the little lick. I accept, Talos said softly to the now blank space where the hologram had been. Where do I begin? He asked, standing up and rolling his now skinless shoulders, noticing Relic burbling in amusement.